What's up, guys? Who needs meta here? Back in the deep end.
Late hours of the night.
It is that deep.
Oh,
He did it again, guys. He made top 4. Detroit Day 2 hat. Playing what deck?
Mythic ruler.
The deck.
The deck.
You want to get into the list?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say my list is like it's pretty like standard, or it's pretty conventional when you look at like lists of the past and you look at the top 8 lists that Tamid Zaman played. So I'll try to compare to the newer trends as we go. There's no reason to play this deck without
all four
rulers, so not much to say there. So this is like the old ways. In many ways, I am an old head, but actually, I think I should, in order to explain this ratio, I need to lay out the rest. So I think the new wave has been playing three blue eyes, 3 stone, but I still.
So 1 tree, 1 water. Is that Corseska and debris?
Corseska,
debris. So there's your wind. Okay, there's all the attribute dragons. Got it.
Correct. So I see the appeal of 3 blue eyes, 3 stone, because stone is. Like, it is a factually correct statement to say that when a stone hits the graveyard, it is a full ruler summon all by itself. It's just that in the context of the way this deck generates value, especially when you only have 1 of every ruler, is you put enough dragons in the graveyard that the ruler comes back every turn, similar to like Grapha in Dark World. And then because the rulers then can eat a piece of removal and then come back on the next turn, that is in theory a +1. But what often happens in a long grind game like that, or I guess what I was trying to establish is that you want to play a long game with rulers and make those trades with the dragon rulers themselves efficiently.
And that just frees you up for soul charge and things like that later on.
Yeah, it frees you up to eventually reach the point where you can make the Stardust safely, or make the end board safely, or make the Felgrand walks, or the rulers can just start hitting face after like forcing out all the back row. But what I'm trying to say is, in the context of a grind game, in that grind game that you're trying to play, what will often happen is eventually you'll find a way to access all 4 rulers. But it is very difficult from a practical standpoint. Sorry, I'm moving.
You're good.
You are not going to have 8 dragons in your grave. If you're playing the grind game, you're not going to have 8 dragons in your graveyard to manage to summon all 4 rulers at once. Often what's going to happen is you're going to start running low on the number of dragons you have in your deck. And so what you want to be able to do at most points in the game then is, if I have access to all 4 rulers, I want to start banishing them for additional surge targets. And so that gives you like an element of consistency where like I can give up a ruler in the early game or the mid game, knowing that I will still eventually be able to find additional rulers for follow-up, and I can still be able to make the plays I want to make, rather than hope I draw into white stone consonants or blue eyes, a trade in for my blue eyes, or consonants for my stone, and like just try to generate raw, like try to win the game off of the raw pluses of these, but foregoing the ability to like tutor dragons from my deck, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry. It took me a long time to get to the point, but I hope the point was made. So you do 2 guard is good, but because you play this ratio, you want the extra normal monster off of Shrine. Water is a hard once per turn, and so, like at least from like the special summon from the hand effect, you can summon it from graveyard as much as you want, but you don't really want to draw multiple water. And tree is like if you have drain up, tree is really bad. And
makes sense.
And it's hard for the effect to walk once, let alone twice.
So real quick, if you played 3/3 with the stone blue eyes, would you go down to 1 guard?
I would probably go down to 1 guard, and then you probably don't play the Corseska.
Okay.
That goes there.
But the additional tuner is also valuable as well.
Yeah, so
because you right now this is 4 tuners, and if you cut a guard and a Corseska, you're down to 3 level 1 tuners, or 3 tuners I guess total, or 3 level 1 tuners. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think you're right. Your math checks out a little bit.
Yeah.
The reason I think the merit of playing Corseska as well. James Ark. When I talked to James Ark about this deck a long time ago, and it was a very brief conversation about the cards he likes to play. But he mentioned this to me, and then I started playing this. I started testing Corsaska, and in a lot of opening ruler hands where you're trying to act like find a route to Stardust, you often really don't want to banish Blaster because it's the biggest one if you don't have to. And so being able to like banish the Tempest to get the level 1 tuner is just very convenient for you. It allows you to just hold on to Blaster as a beater that can clear your opponent's big monsters, and like you get to have the biggest dump.
Yeah, I remember a lot back in the like Blaster was always the guy that got summoned.
Yeah.
He was typically never the one that got banished. It also has, which one would you say is the most like utility in hand effect? Like which one do you?
It is probably
Tempest.
Yeah. So which is weird because then I'm saying, oh, but I'm willing to banish Tempest. But the beauty of this deck is that you have ways to recruit Tempest back. But Tempest's hand effect is probably, and that's the other nice thing about playing all these other cards, that you see the discard effect, the hand effects more often, because these hand effects, a lot of them are broken, but it's probably Tempest first and then Tidal, because Tempest,
with the Water Dragon.
Yeah, so Tidal with Water Dragon and Tempest with one of the winds, because so Tidal can dump something to set up your graveyard, add a Blue Eyes to your hand, do whatever,
and then,
set another ruler so that you can summon have the second ruler in rotation, have a good soul charge. Tempest can theoretically do all of those things for you as well if you add another ruler and you have another attribute to discard, or you have a draw spell. So
okay.
A dragon in hand is a lot better. Is like, I would say the margin is pretty small, but a dragon in hand is noticeably is better than a dragon in graveyard, and the only exception to that is if you have soul charge and you have no ways to get a dragon out of hand. Alright, so that's the main dragon ruler engine. Let me try to clean all this up.
You ever done the Tempest effect to like search a Blue Eyes to like trade in to like keep moving and stuff like that?
Yeah, and yeah, like that I've never done that specific line before. There was a line that came up today where I Sacred Sword Blaster, I had guard in my hand, I had already opened Corsaska, and I drew Tempest into Corsaska, and then I drew Tidal, and I also had like drawn Open Water. So I went, after drawing the Tempest, I went discard, add Tidal, do this. I then soul charged him for 5, and my end board was Stardust Dragon OG, Felgrand, Stardust Spark, and this was against Hat, so they just folded.
That's checkmate.
Point. Yeah,
that's a very much checkmate board state.
Yeah. All right.
They don't have enough trap cards to get out of that.
No amount of set 5 can beat that board, especially not artifact based set 5. Okay. And then the last monster I play is the 2-card Trooper, which has maybe fallen out of favor. Apologies as I arrange this. Okay. So Jay is here. Shout out to Jay. He and I argue.
Give it a thumbs up. You're good. There you go. There you go.
Jay and I probably argue a lot about rulers, and it's usually pretty productive conversation. And except when he successfully rage baits me, but
got him.
Yeah. And I think a lot of my discussion between Jay and Icaros, I would like to talk to Andy saying more about rulers, but I've not talked to him very much about it. It's like Trooper being a alleged bad card. Yes,
alleged bad card?
Emphasis on alleged. The thing is like, this deck has so many ways to play the game, and including soul charge, right? And including banishing stuff for rulers and stuff. And so the flexibility of like being able to put dragons in graveyard that you can then banish for a ruler.
Not just dragon rulers, but just dragons in general.
Yeah, so like imagine a Vayu deck where instead of just the Vayu Sirocco Garden Plague, you have, instead of just those like 8 cards,
you have way more than
every one of these is a good hit, as long as you have a way to convert it. If you hit a dragon, you're 1 dragon closer to a ruler summon. Your soul charge, depending on what you hit, will get better. And then just the proposition of like milling to at least see more of your deck faster helps you access certain cards that you wouldn't be able to otherwise. So just the expected value of milling is pretty high, and if Trooper sticks or you revive it with Soul Charge or you revive it with Debris, being able to
do it again
multiple times increases that value, in addition to the ability for it to replace itself by like drawing and like be a 1900 beater to apply pressure. Like worst case scenario, you just banish it for Redux.
Are there any matchups that you boarded out?
I boarded out a good amount of the time, and usually it comes down to one, am I bringing hands in against this deck, or two, is it too slow, or like if I'm siding in Maxi kind of fills the role that Card Trooper does in the combo matchup, except that like, but you don't die, like this Trooper doesn't get completely run over by like a dragon or a mermail guy.
So the philosophy is Trooper sees more cards, but Maxi also helps you see more cards.
Yeah, so that's when like Trooper will come out, or if like because the hands are normal summons and Trooper is a normal summon, I'm not trying to brick on normal summons.
That was my next question: is there a preferred number of normal summons that you prefer to have in the deck?
Oh, there.
Like at pre inside, post side. I don't know if it's a matchup dependent thing, or if it's like the deck doesn't function if it has be over like 8 normal summons or whatever.
No, I don't count. I'm not. I like dabble in hypergeometric calculations, but I with this deck in particular, it's more just that I don't count the number of normal summons. It's just that Trooper is a standalone card that lets you see more engine.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in this particular deck where you have a lot of, again, you kind of have a lot of 2-card combinations, like in the draw spells, in the Soul Charge, in the any ruler play kind of requires 2 cards, like a ruler and then some other number of dragons in your graveyard to access, like Ruler Shrine or Ruler Foolish. What am I trying to say? I think I just lost my train of thought.
Don't worry, brother. It's super late.
That's okay. Yeah. Oh my god.
We'll move on to the next. Is that all the monsters?
Yeah, that's all the monsters. So if someone can figure out where I was going with that,
just play Card Trooper.
Just play Card Trooper. I think is the point.
All I'm saying is Card Trooper bad, Cham good. He makes it work.
I could see. Oh, we were talking about number of normal summons.
Yeah.
So I'm not focusing on the number. It's more just that the utility of Card Trooper is a standalone card.
Makes sense.
That's what makes it work for me, in my opinion. I could see maining hands, especially if you make the correct read that there are going to be a lot of artifacts in the room. And I could see, Icaros is like, I like Icaros's systematic approach to making the case for Vortex Trooper, but again, like being able to mill multiple times with Card Trooper gives you a lot more value out over time than just the one activation of the Vortex.
Even in like bad hands or like bad where you don't want to play into a set 5, like you can a Card Trooper into a Murmillo set 5, it isn't like the worst play.
Yeah, you clear the Murmelio so they can't. They have to have another card to be able to pressure you. And you do that under bottomless, and then if they don't out the Trooper, you just mill again.
Yeah.
And again, you get the same value proposition you did the turn before.
Because I feel like it seems like Deep Prison's seeing less and less play, and like there isn't a clean way. And Hat. So there isn't like a clean way to out Card Trooper with like preventing the draw either.
Yeah.
And like from getting it out of the graveyard, so it's always going to be an Earth for Redux, and it's probably going to be a draw every time.
Yeah. So like
Black Ship, like
sometimes
okay.
like if you like Soul Charge for double Trooper, you basically got a pot of greed out of it, you know, like and then sometimes there are just hands where, because it's a standalone card, there are just hands where you can't play the game and then Trooper allows you to. So like just now I was playing some friendlies against Corey Brogan.
C. Brogan.
Sorry to dox you, bro. He's giving me a dirty look now. But sorry, no, his name's actually Chester. But I open like a hand of like Trooper Soul Charge Wing Blast, and then I go Trooper and Water in hand, and then I go Trooper Mill 3 and I hit a Blue Eyes. And, like no other card. Vortex Trooper can maybe get you to a playable hand if that happens, if you draw that kind of hand with Vortex Trooper, but Card Trooper is the only card that can actually let you make a Felgrand in that situation, if that makes sense. All right, Spell. Sorry for the long yap about Trooper. I hope someone did not build a coffee table in the same duration of time it took me to talk about Trooper. 3 upstart.
Hey, I said welcome to the deep end. This is the deep end.
Welcome to the deep end.
You're not in the damn kiddie pool.
These are expensive, dude. Oh my god. It took most of this deck comes in QCR, and because it's my favorite deck to play, I made it everything QCR where I could. These were expensive, but I mean, it's. I've actually been thinking about Reckless Greed and Mythic Ruler because I think Reckless Greed is really effective in decks that have the secondary draw engine, like the Dark World or like Spell Books with Wonder Wand and Redo, and things to that effect, or BAM where you have like trade-ins. Hey, shout out to Jay again for.
This guy made BAM. He made the big ass machines. I will never call it anything else.
But no, the thing is, like, I think in Hat specifically, Reckless you risk, in the Artifact matchup in particular, you risk getting hit, the Reckless getting hit with Ignition. So, like, you just want the consistent draw card that even going first, even going first allows you to see more of your decks. I know Ultra Plant had a lot of success with not playing Upstart in the main and then just playing Maxi. But again, like,
that was another question, was you weren't playing the Maxis in the main.
Not in the main. And again, I value being able to always see the draw rather than have to Maxi, like, I don't know, freaking
Sanctum or something.
Yeah, like, I care more about seeing my deck and being able to play the game and I want to see when I have Upstart in my hand, usually I want to see the draw.
It's your monsters or your negates outside of skill grid. But like your monsters are your negates. So it makes sense. If you see more of your monsters, you can build your board. I get it.
Also, a big thing in rollers is you deck bend so much, so that gets value over time too.
Yeah, exactly. How do I put this? I think the only true downside to Upstart is that in the combo mirror in particular, it can be dangerous to give your opponent more life points for Soul Charge.
Yeah, I was say that's one more guy off Soul Charge.
Yeah, exactly. I would never side out Upstart, and I do not recommend siding out Upstart. It's even in the combo mirror. Unless, like, I have recommended in the past, if you're going second against combo, you can take out Upstart for Maxi, because at that point it can give you about the same value. But otherwise, like, you should probably just play Upstart and play 37 cards in your deck. Okay, sorry. I will try to speed up.
You don't have to speed up.
Okay. Soul Charge. The other biggest reason to play this deck has access to, like, the most powerful extra deck monsters in half format, period. Like, there are some narrow exceptions to that. Like, Mermail Abyss guy is just a house of a card.
But Felgrand is really good.
But Felgrand is incredible. Heliopolis is incredible. Killing people with Giant Grinder is funny. And then, like, Stardust is still so good. It's incredible how like a 2010 card is
2008 card.
2008 just cooks. But
Crimson Blader is broken.
Crimson Blader is insane, dude, and I hate it in the mirror.
Yeah. That was another question about the card trooper is because does it have to come out in the mirror because of Blader? Or?
Yeah, it has to come out in the mirror because of Blader. And again, Maxi kind of will at least fulfill the same role in that niche.
It's an Earth that sees more cards. So you're not,
But I think you should play 3 Soul Charge if you're playing this deck. There's no reason not to. It's like it's probably like the best card.
You'd probably play like 5 of it if you could.
Probably. And I think this deck, in Firewater, where you don't have this, I still think this deck is one of the best decks. But that's like a different level of the game where you can fall back on just making efficient trades with your rulers, and then you can make the big guy.
I got you.
But this is just this makes rulers feel like a modern deck. I think the only other substantial thing I have to say about Soul Charge is that people debate whether or not Ruler is the best Soul Charge deck, and you're hearing it from me, folks, it is. But what I will give credit to my colleague Swagger in Mermail is that with Mermail you get so many effects that can proc off of Soul Charge that you then snowball even harder when you resolve Soul Charge. But as far as end boards go, with Soul Charge, Mythic Ruler is the king.
It feels like Mermail simplified the game state with their Soul Charge, where you can just trigger so many different all of your Lanians and your guns and stuff like that with your pike.
Yeah.
And whereas you were just like big guy.
Yeah, I'm just like, deal with the Omni Negate, or deal with this big board and my Drain or Floodgate or whatever, or my Wing Blast, Otherwise, you lose. 3 Shrine. It's like your best starter card. It's the only reason why this deck works. And a lot of how you sequence your plays revolves around trying to get the most value out of this card as possible. At least that is the way in my experience to play it optimally. And I could go into a long yap about how to play Ruler optimally. Maybe one day I will write it up with the help of Jay and other fellow Ruler warriors. But you should play 3 even if it's a hard once per turn. All right, the other thing that I guess is going to be a little sword. Yeah. So Timid's Amon's list plays 3 trade-in and 2 consonants, and then when I had that one conversation with James Ark, he mentioned this card to me, and they go by Allison now. Allison at the time also told me the sword is good. Excuse me. And I was just like, back when I was first learning the deck, I was just like, why would you ever want to banish one of your 4 rulers to power through the draw? But as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the time, like, what matters most of the time is seeing as much of your deck as you can, and not necessarily holding on to every single dragon ruler that you have. So you don't mind banishing the ruler to get the +1 off of the Sacred Sword, and then that allows you to eventually find more gas to play. Or it sets up like a DDR or a Burial and stuff like that. How do I put this? I think you should play at least 5 draw spells in the deck. I think that is that's experiential. I did not do any math. I did not math this out. But I think playing any less just makes it less consistent to be able to actually find draw spell and corresponding target. The reason I don't play 3 trade, the reason why I eventually stuck with the ratio James Ark talked about, and I'm sold on Sacred Sword, or I've liked playing Sacred Sword, is because, and I'll talk about it in comparison to the 3rd trade-in specifically. Consonants will come up later, but part of it is my Blue Eyes ratio, right? So I play
2/2.
I play 2/2, and so what that means is that if you look at my 40 card deck and even if you assume that in my 6 cards, I'm about to open a hand of 6 cards, how many Blue Eyes do I have in the deck? Part of it depends on, my opening 6, right? But theoretically, you have the 3 Shrine, the 1 Foolish, and then the 2 Stone, 2 Blue Eyes. And then technically, as a level 8 for trade-in, you also have Gold Target to title. The problem is, you can exhaust all of those targets not in a linear curve, right, where the ratio decreases or the likelihood of seeing one decreases with one of your 8 things decreases enough to where you can resolve the 2nd trade-in reliably and the 3rd trade-in. Oftentimes, the optimal line sometimes, especially post-side when you're trying to play around Pro and you have a tuner in hand, you will Shrine for a Blue Eyes and a Ruler, and then Soul Charge both. And then they have to Crow one or the other, then you summon your tuner, do the thing. Make Azure Eyes or make the level 8, depending on what they hit. And sometimes you'll you will go, if you have Soul Charge, you will go Dragon Shrine, Blue Eyes Stone, add Blue Eyes. You'll activate the 1st trade-in, and then you'll Soul Charge for those 3. And you're at the Felgrand or Azure Eyes, and they have to choose what they're gonna lose to. That's what. And
even if on the first play you said if they don't have Crow, then you could just turn 2 8s into Felgrand.
Exactly. And so what I'm trying to say is you go through the level 8s in your deck at a kind of it's not a true exponential rate. You would have to graph it on a curve, but you will very easily you can suck your deck out of trade-in targets pretty quickly, depending on how you played the game or how the game went. And sometimes that's the correct thing to do. You can't always and so there are what am I trying to say? So because of that, you can massively increase the chance of drawing a dead trade-in or multiple dead trade-ins. And especially if you're running 3 trade-in and 3 consonants at the cost of flexible defense like Phoenix Wing, then you're gonna create a lot more hands where you just have no defensive resources or no way to play, and then lose because you don't have enough active cards, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So 2 trade-in for me has been a stable ratio. Now, if you're really I really like 3 trade-in, Timid's on found success with 2/2. When I first started with this deck, I played 3 trade-in and the 2 consonants. So like it's totally viable. I just think you will create a lot of you will get into a lot of positions where you're drawing dead trade-ins because you can't you don't have enough level 8s in the sum total of your deck to actually convert them.
Now, do you think in a grindier meta where this ratio makes more sense, but if like the meta shifts away from artifact stuff as much and more people pick up decks like this and like Mermails, do you think that like trying to outpace those decks with the 3 trade-in might be more worth it?
Yeah, probably. Like I think if obviously it has a later format than Redo, but if the format kind of like devolved into Combo Mirror, Vanity's Emptiness, Turbo, then yes, I think it would be correct then to like max all the draw spells, give yourself the highest chance of like drawing just power drawing through your deck so you can make your big board and then set your floodgate and go. I think you would have a case for like playing maxing the 3 trade-in. And like sorry, I have to
No, you're good. Take your time, man.
For the yapping, but
you're good. Trade-in.
Yeah, trade-in. So, God, dude. Oh my God, it's getting closer and closer to 1 a.m. and my brain is slowly becoming more fried. But this deck is like one of the best grind game decks, and so like I feel like you should build the deck to consistently grind and have enough defensive resources to do so, and you don't need to like do the feast or famine power through the deck thing, because you still can with this ratio. Like I said before, that board I made, it was done off the back of the 1 Sacred Sword where I drew into multiple ruler discards and I had Soul Charge there. Like that still happens. You just don't need to you don't need to like gain the small, you don't need to run the 3 and 3 and like the 6 or 7 draw spells to get the small percent increase that happens more at the cost of having like stable defense that allows you to stay in the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So I said I was going to bring in constants later, and so like where the logic of the 2 trading comes up is like where sometimes playing 3 consonants can be a little cumbersome. So like Jay is a big 3 trading 3 consonants fan, so he is more than welcome to argue in favor of that ratio. And 3 Blue Eyes. The other way you can remedy the problem I have with like drawing dead trade-in is you play the 3
Just play
Blue
the full
Eyes,
package, yeah.
Yeah. But again, I prefer having more ruler search targets because I am trying to play the long game. But where you can kind of see this logic with trade-in unfold with consonants is that a lot of times you will have to choose either with a tuner. When you have a tuner in hand, you will oftentimes have to choose like, do I summon the tuner to make a board or do I pitch it to consonants? And so if you have like multiple consonants in hand, you're putting a lot of strain on the tuner, and then
to get you another tuner.
Yeah, exactly. You're like basically saying, okay, I should power through my deck because these cards are otherwise like a -1 in my hand, but I'm giving them my ability to make a Stardust now when I can. And so like you don't want to put too much strain like on always having a tuner for the consonants or making the consonants dead if you have a tuner. You want to be able to like I don't know if does that make sense, like where by using your tuner to normal summon, normal summoning your tuner, you're now creating more instances in which the consonants is dead, and so you want to decrease the chance of drawing multiple dead consonants. In the same way where you go through a lot of the level 8s in your deck, and so you don't really want to create more chances for you to draw dead trade-ins.
Because there are certain instances where you have 1 or 2 consonants, but the game state calls for having to use the tuner.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get it. Okay.
So you're trying to reduce the strain on you're trying to keep your cards active and reduce the strain that you're putting on them because you're using these cards for multiple different purposes at different points in the game. Okay. So the rest of the spells, Gold Sark. It's also it's a +1 in this deck, which Gold Sark is not often in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh. Foolish Burial. This is your 4th copy of Dragon Shrine. It's very much, again, you should play it because Dragon Shrine is a hard once per turn. And then the 2 additional extenders you play in addition to Soul Charge. The one thing that limits the Mythic Ruler deck is the fact that there's only one of them and you rely on the banish pile. So any card that lets you recur the rulers back, or in the case of DDR, allows you to use a ruler twice, is insanely broken. It's why Soul Charge is broken in this deck, because like you can summon a ruler back, use it for the Stardust, and then summon the ruler back to do another play. And Burial and DDR do the same thing for you, but for the banish pile, the banish pile is supposed to be what checks the ceiling of the deck, and then these cards just let you say, no, I'm going to keep going.
Which of the 2 cards do you think is better?
I think they each depend, because like sometimes you'll draw. I drew hands today where like I drew like 2 rulers in the DDR. The DDR in that hand is you can make like a Draco Sack or something, and like you maybe go a net even on cards, or only -1. But if they out the Draco Sack, the -1 makes a huge difference. So like it just depends on like how much gas you have access to.
Yeah.
DDR, like even though in those hands though, DDR is still to me a worthwhile extender to play, and because you only play 1. Like, as long as you can bait out the ignition, like an ignition or a cyclone on it, your opponent will most likely be trying to save that for the drain anyway, and so you don't really run into the problem where you DDR and then like they MST it and you're like, oh, I'm sad now.
Have you ever tested Miracle Dig?
Miracle Dig is ass. I'm sorry.
I'm just bringing it up.
No.
Just asking.
So like, think about like realistically. In order for Miracle Dig to be as consistent as Burial, you have to...
it'll never be as consistent as Burial, but yeah.
Yeah, you have to have access to 2 rulers, and then you have to have banished... You have to have enough dragons in graveyard, which at that point, if you're not winning the game...
If you banish your whole graveyard and you haven't won yet, kind of thing?
Yeah. It's like... like, why am I holding that card for, like... that duration if I'm not winning the game when I'm already in that position, if that makes sense. So like I play the long game, but I don't play that.
I'm just curious, so would you, like a hypothetical situation, if Burial's at 2, would you play 2 Burial?
I would probably play 2 Burial.
Okay.
I don't know, maybe I would still go 1 in DDR. With Burial, the key is that I think Blab is the first person I started arguing fervently with about Mythic Ruler. And like he is a big advocate of cutting Burial. The key with Burial is that it allows you to make more aggressive plays with your rulers because you have the anticipation of knowing that you're going to be able to Burial on the next turn for insane value. So like some ruler because of that, like you get a lot more value out of your shrine, because like instead of shrining for like a stone and blue eyes to get yourself enough materials, you'll say, yeah, I'll just send the ruler now, and then because I Burial it back, now I have 2 rulers and I can start making even more plays than I normally would. And then
because it's 1.5 cards or whatever.
Yeah, and because like now you're like, I guess what I'm trying to say, like Stone Blue Eyes, if you go like Shrine for Guard and Stone, you got 3 dragons. If you only go Guard or normal monster and Ruler, you get only 2 dragons. And then you add, I guess, the 3rd dragon if you banish the Ruler. But it's very hard to convert that dragon in the process sometimes. Whereas with Burial, now you can do that play, but you get the benefit of you actually have 2 rulers in rotation, and your opponent does not know that. And you did that. You were able to achieve that by going even on cards, because when you Burial back a ruler, the ruler summons itself, so you never lost anything, but you gained the
extra dragon. Yeah, it's 1.5 cards.
Yeah. My brain is not right now in the space to do the math. I'm sorry. I'll trust that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I probably would I probably would advise against playing multiple DDR though, because it can be a -1. I think 1 is like a perfectly stable ratio. Yeah, I think I've yapped enough about that. So, trap lineup.
Yeah.
I've seen people make the case for cutting this to 2, and I think in certain matchups it's worth doing. But when artifacts are like probably going to be the most prevalent deck in any given tournament, especially in the online side, where I think more European players prefer the artifact decks, and I think more American players prefer the higher ceiling combo decks.
It's the Hoban thing, man. He always played the Burr decks.
Yeah, the
like
big
Soul
decks.
Charge exists. Why would I not play Soul Charge?
Yeah, but like because artifacts are a really formidable matchup, and
They're not.
I cooked his ass when he played artifacts against me, so that's why he's saying that. But sorry, Corey, I love you. He kicked my ass too, and I had to pick up artifacts. But I have no idea how to play artifacts. I'm sorry, but
Who kicked whose ass in top drawer?
oh my god, don't do that to him when he's not even on camera. But
He can't even defend himself.
oh my god. Sorry. So
3 skill drains.
yeah, in the artifact matchup, because they will often happen is like you kind of want to draw multiple skill drain is the gist of it, because they'll ignition the first thinking, okay, I can play the game, and then you just go, okay, I will flip the second.
I watched you do it in top 8, where the
Oh
chain. It
my
was
God.
skill drain, a chain ignition, chain skill drain.
That was so tragic. So yeah, man. So I snuck in at X2, and then my opponent was undefeated on. My opponent was undefeated in Swiss. He played Concealer Artifact. Shout out to him. I don't remember his name. I have to drill that into my memory. But I over respected like a solemn warning for like a Stardust. So I just said, you know what, I will. My opponent like went first, summoned bear, set 4. And I was like, okay, I will just summon the blaster here and attack the bear. If it walks, I'll just end on the blaster drain board, the double drain board. And then if not, then what am I trying to say? Then I'll try to summon blaster again on the next turn, and then try to force the Stardust if they use like removal on it. But what happened was, I think he went Tenki for bear, set 4, or normal summon cost, that's what it was. And then next turn he tried to summon bear to clear the blaster, and so because I had 2 skill drain set, I flipped the first one, he ignitions, and I flipped the second one, and he just loses from there. And so like,
Because like, what can deal with 2800 in that deck without effects?
yeah, like now that skill drain is successfully walked as well. Like it's so difficult for artifact decks to play the game, especially when you represent the multiple skill drain. So I think it's still correct to main 3, but in a meta where artifacts are not as prevalent, I can see the case for maining 2, because you will more than likely easily find the first one as you power through your deck.
Does the 2/2 Blue Eyes Whitestone ratio make it easier to fit the room for the third? Or is the other tuners kind of taking up the other space for that?
I see. So the monster lineup never changes, no matter what. Like the monster count usually does not change depending on the.
Does it make sense?
Excuse me. Depending on what ratio you play, like the way you take my list and go 3 Blue Eyes 3 Stones, you just take a guard in the Corskesta and you flip them to Blue Eyes Stone. So like the monster count does not change, but where the defense slots, the trap slots change is how much of the trade-in consonants engine you choose to play.
Okay.
So because if
you do the 3 trade and you have to
3 trade-in and 3 consonants, and you try to also make room for a Sacred Sword, then you have to cut defense in order to fit it all. 2 Wing Blast and TT. I am a Wing Blast enjoyer. It's just like there are so many games in which my opponent will there are a lot of games where, so part of the reason I snuck in an X2 was because one of the X1s, I had beat him and he won out. In addition to that, my losses being the GOAT Swagger, who went X1-1. against my Gear Gia Karakuri opponent, he goes first. I think I went first, and I like make a board and set Wing Blast, and then he goes set a monster, set 3, and I think I had like Felgrand, Wing Blast, and so I just Wing Blast as set monster, Blaster Redox, hit face for like a bunch of 72 I think it was, and then make Draco's Hack and be like, okay, now deal with that board. Because Hat is like a faster format and that games like evolve a lot more quickly over a fewer number of turns. The tempo you gain from a Wing Blast, like especially against the smaller decks, the rank 4 decks or the Yu-Gi-Ohs or Artifacts or whatever, is incredible. And then even it can still out floodgates for you. It still serve that role. And then against like, it's definitely worse against the big decks. So like, it's not great into Mermail because you don't really want to spin a Pike.
Yeah, I would say Pike is like the big one. You definitely want to spin Pike.
And like Mermail can like force it very easily, and so you're not really getting much value off of it.
Because against you, they don't have to fear hitting anything with Marksman that's going to threaten them.
Right, exactly. Like
they can just take that thing and fire it off.
Exactly. The point where this is good is when you spin back an Exceeds monster, and then that denies them the ability to soul charge it back. So that's where it is a lot more relevant in the combo mirror. But
and just making like Artifact players draw Moral Talk is like
they
really like drawing Moral Talk.
Oh my god, in the last round, I think his name was Josh. He was on Hat. I think I was going for a game shot or something to that effect. And I think he was trying to bait my Stardust. So he goes like Ignition on my... Like he was trying to get me to skip, I don't forget, he like Ignition target his own artifact. And I was like, okay, Wing Blast target the card you targeted. And then he was like, I'll MST my own artifact. So he started from set 4 to, oh, that is an artifact set. I flip Ignition, I'm going to target the artifact I set to... Oh, my other back row is MST, and I was like...
And you just burned through all of it.
And I was like, yeah, and I was like, okay, I just win the game now, like, it's over. So...
Good card.
Good. I'm a Wing Blast enjoyer because it's flexible removal in a deck that is trying to grind. So...
TT was good?
Yeah. Shout out to Jay. Sorry. I know, shout out because he's a victim of this card. It checks all the Soul Charge decks. And that's like, I think, and because it's a sweeper, you'll still punish people for overextending and get a +1 out of it. So like, and a lot of the end boards you make don't care about getting TT there. Felgrand, you have Felgrand TT, Stardust Spark TT. Bro, what the fuck? Card Trooper TT, like, that's acceptable. That's a great TT right there, bro.
Because the card trooper just replaces itself anyway, so it's like, who cares? Yeah.
So like, and then it checks the combo decks when they try to make like a wide end board with Soul Charge. I still don't like it much against Mermail because they can force it so easily. But against the smaller decks, it still punishes them for overextending. Like sometimes people will like Sanctum, Beagle attack, and then you'll just like TT them, or like sometimes they'll try to get aggressive against you. You'll have like a field of no monsters, and they'll summon Fire Hand next to like an artifact or something, and then your TT gets so much value because you clear the Fire Hand. So like, so being able to, it's a sweeper. It's good. It's definitely worth maining, even in this format. Okay, I'll go over the side because I think.
Do extra first.
You want to do extra first?
You do extra first, yeah.
Okay, so shout out to Fletcher for gifting me these tokens. These are the best Draco Sack tokens. I think his brother, I believe, is a pilot, and so he got these. And
that actually kind of rules.
I know, right? Like, being able to, like, Draco Sack effect some of these and then go, like, pop.
Please tell me you make the sound effect every time.
I should. I do not, but that would be hilarious. It would be so hilarious if I did that on stream. Missed opportunity there, but alas, in the future. Because I still play Card Trooper, I play Black Rose.
It's a dragon.
Yeah, dragon that puts itself in the graveyard and nukes your opponent's stuff. Hell of a card. Against Icaros in War League, I had a play where like he sets 3. He's on Gear, and I go, well, I don't really want to play into. I don't want to lose to Gear here, so I like Black Rose. He attempts to breakthrough seal my TT, and so like, what was kind of a subpar TT anyway got me to resolve the Black Rose and clear all the stuff. So like, this Black Rose nuke is just still
very real.
Yeah, it's just so good. Even when there's so much effect negation in the format. And then OG Stardust Spark. You can play a second Stardust. You should be able to, like, with good technical play, you can bait like a warning or a horn on other things before your Stardust gets warning. And then inevitably there will be some positions where your only win con is the first Stardust walks, and they have the warning or the horn for it, and that's just the way the game goes. So I haven't gotten into too many positions where I truly felt like I needed the second, and I think just having the as diverse a lineup in the extra deck as you can is worthwhile. And then,
bro, when I play Boojins, I hate this card, man.
I know.
It just walls.
Yeah, get wrecked. Anyway.
You have to. It's like cooling or bust.
Cooling or bust, baby. Scrap is extremely good, especially with Card Trooper.
You need like cards that simplify game states on soul charge turns.
Yeah,
it makes
and
sense.
like sometimes you will intentionally like make a scrap and overlay for Felgrand in anticipation that you will soul charge it back to do pops, which is like again one of the, because of how many ways to play Mythic Ruler has, the amount of depth and the amount of lines where you'll realize we're like 5 turns in, you'll realize you made an error 4 turns ago because you didn't anticipate that is incredible. Colossal Fighter cooks the Boojin matchup, and even like there's some matchups like White Sworn Ruler where if you know that they're not on main deck MST, you can Colossal Fighter drain, and like unless they can get to a Draco Sack, they just can't out it.
They just like deck out.
Yeah, like they either deck themselves out or like they just have a beater that kills them through Honest. Crimson Blader, as we discussed, probably one of the most. I think Abyss Dweller is still more toxic than Crimson Blader, but Crimson Blader is a very formidable card in the Ruler and Mermail matchup. I don't. Not that I think it's necessarily correct to always try to go for it against Mermail, but it's good when it resolves. And then Azure Eyes and Star Eater. So Azure Eyes is also a hell of a card because it activates on Special Summon, not on Synchro Summon, so you can Soul Charge it back and get the protection effect again. And then Star Eater, like the one monster that checks this deck, or there are 2. The 2 monsters that check this deck, because it has the highest stat line in the format, are Leo and Crazy Box. So being able to make this, just like, that's like, if you burn this too early, you will be punished. If you burn the debris too early and you don't stay cognizant of that possibility that you'll get Leo'd or Crazy Fox, then then you'll get punished. But that's you should play Star Eater.
Yeah.
Even a solo Star Eater against like set hands just cooks them. Okay. Then the Exceeds monsters. I play the one Exciton. This comes up.
It's debris and the Earth Dragon, right?
Yeah, Mythic Tree. So like, you can play 101 as well. I know Jay is topped with 101 in the side as well, and I think if you can make room for the second rank 4, it's worth it. But like Exciton, I very rarely go for the rank 4 play. Usually it's like I'm against Evil Swarm or something where I feel the need to do that, or like I can like Soul Charge for like 2 level 4s. Especially if hands are in my deck post side, Exciton, and then like make a big end board. For me, I've been just happy with the one Exciton. I think that's all you need. And then 2 Draco Zac, 1 Big Eye. This is standard.
Yeah.
I don't know where you would find room for the second Big Eye, but it would be hilarious because sometimes Ruler versus Mermail comes down to who makes Big Eye first, because then you Big Eye their Big Eye.
Big Eye there, yeah.
And then Felgrand and Heliopolis are pretty standard, hell of a card. Jay, I think, has also played Double Fel and is a big advocate of Double Fel. I respect it. Again, I find myself strained for the room. I guess you can cut Giant Grinder, but Giant Grinder is like a win con in certain game states, especially against decks like Geargia, or soul charge decks where like combo decks where like if they get themselves low enough and you're wise enough to leave level 8s in your graveyard so you can soul charge them back, like this is like your cowboy in that situation. It's a board breaker that also like burns them for a ton of damage. So still, in my opinion, very much worth playing. Oh, I think I actually did this wrong.
We'll get it later. Don't worry about it. Give me a side deck.
Yeah. There we go. Okay. So I side the 3 maxi and then the DD Crow. Like, you need this to check the combo matchups. You need this against a lot of decks.
The card troopers when they come out and maxis being nerfed. Yeah, makes sense.
Crow. Just it's very high
Beagle
coverage
Talk.
hand. I actually don't side this in against artifacts. I don't think you need to. I think as long as you can establish a field and skill drain. I know Marcus LOL recommended siding in crows to me when you can, in addition to the hands. But like, I'm not trying to play like Call of the Haunted is just like another layer of interaction that I can force out or play through. And if I have a drain on board, the Call of the Haunted rarely matters. So like, I don't try to like DD Crow on the Beagle Talk or the Call of the Haunted or whatever.
Do you like this card against books?
I think you just have to play it because like,
I know that matchup's rough.
yeah. So I played against 2 books today. I won the first match because I think established like a Felgrand, and we were pretty strained for time, and so I was like starting to rush him down, and then he goes like Spellbook of Life, target world, and I crowed his world. And that was like, I think that was where Crow won. That's where I won the game. Like when he had given up his normal summon, or I don't think he even had a normal summon at that point. He gave up a secrets to get to life, to get to world, to get more resources, and I crowed him. So yeah, I think you should have to side it against books, especially the world wills. I think because you can check their life plays. And then I side the hands. These are the single best cards in the artifact match against the artifact matchup, and it's insane that they're in attribute for your
Yeah,
deck. Yeah. There was a game again last round. This is why you have to be so. Ruler is like so draining on your mental, like your mental stack, because like you always have to pay attention to what you can actually do with your hands. In game 3, I went first and drew a hand of like a lot of nothing, soul charge, ice this card and title, and being able to discard it for title, and then soul charge for a Stardust, ice hand in defense position, I think, and in drain. Like, let me get there, but just artifacts just cannot. Artifact decks, despite themselves playing hands, have a really hard time with dealing with hands, and like just the threat of the hand being set face down and making it so that they don't attack, so that you can find time to draw more cards. It's like that is where if you don't have the ability to play, that's where you kind of want to be, just like stalling it out and making them have to play into the hand to make progress against you. And then MST, you have to check floodgates. I've yapped enough about MST, I think. 2 rivalry, I really thought about playing Vanity's Emptiness in anticipation of the combo matchups, but like I don't have QCR Vanity's Emptiness, but I do have this in QCR. Vanities you cannot draw into an established board though, and rivalry you can. And so going first against Mermail in particular, it becomes like a card that it becomes like a pseudo Vanity's Emptiness, where you kind of like lock them out of their ability to play. Sometimes you can like lock them under rivalry for multiple turns with a spark in defense position, and then you just draw a hand to OTK, and then you drop all your dragons and OTK them. Other times you're just playing like the ignorant aggro deck, where you just summon your beaters and start hitting them in the face, and they're just, unless they find the MSC or the infantry or the Undying for infantry, it is very awkward and very difficult for them to make most plays. And then going second, unlike Emptiness, say they make a board, Mermail, not being a mono type deck, allows you to basically dark hold them at spell speed too. So in top 4 against Swagger, I think he was explaining his thought process to me in this game about what happened in game 2 when I TT'd him. made him want to preemptively MST before he made any plays in Game 3, and like being able to chain a rivalry. It wasn't a great rivalry, admittedly, but being able to chain rivalry to his MST, like, it was unfortunate he had the second one, but
Yeah.
to like at least threaten like you have to either give up the Lind or the Pike here, was excellent. And then the last card on my side that I never saw today was Full House. This is just a pet card. You probably should not play this, but you should probably play Twister. The reason I still love this card, I did bring it in against books. I might have brought it in against Constellar Artifact. The real reason I like this card is because against Gravekeeper Artifact, because they basically do the whole Necro Valley set 4 or whatever.
Yeah.
If you have this set, you can just go like Dragon Shrine, chain Full House, and then and this is what happened to me when I played in a tournament. I basically heavy stormed them.
If it makes you feel better, I was playing that Gravekeeper, whatever dumb hand deck, and someone Malcatted me.
Yeah, I think
For everything.
Full House is just a lot more flexible than Malcat.
I get it.
So it's easier to fulfill the summoning requirements. But yeah, that is the Ruler deck. Ruler's really my favorite deck to play. I mentioned this on stream, but like, and I've told Jay about this before. Ruler is like really beautiful Yu-Gi-Oh! In my opinion, because you get to abuse all the most powerful game mechanics that the format has to offer. You have, if you play Card Trooper, you have random milling, you have targeted milling, you have banishing, you have recurring from banish pile, you have recurring beater, and then you get to play like the strongest actor deck. Oh, and you have like summoning from the graveyard with Soul Charge. And so like, you have so many options at once and so many decision trees that come from all of those options that you have to think so deeply about your sequence of plays. Like for like in that game 1 against Swagger in top 4, my God, I thought so hard about a line to clear the Gaios or force the guy to bait the Gaios and then clear the rest at least, and just leave him on a Gaios with no follow up. And then he flips empty, doesn't it matter anyway. But
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure you just flipped empty into the game editor.
Yeah, like my hand I think was like it was like Tidal, Blue Eyes, Wing Blast, Tree, DDR, and like that hand sounds ass, and it was kind of ass, but like there were still so many plays to be had in that hand where you could find a way to answer the board. Or no, I think I had Shrine in that hand as well. I'm sorry.
You did have Shrine, yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, because then you told me to make a play. Like, stop thinking for 2 minutes and make a play.
I was like, this.
Yeah.
It's not on time. It was 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
I was like, you do have to make a play.
Yeah. No, I mean that's fair. Like with this deck in particular, I like to try to calculate the full play out in my brain, but sometimes I'm just very slow about doing that. So sometimes the better thing to do is just do what you recognize as the best first step, and then try to like
build from there.
Go from there. But yeah, like that line. There was like a line where I try to Draco Sack pop if he got, or like I try to like Scrap Dragon pop the Gaios, and then DDR the Blue Eyes if he negates with Gaios, and then go Giant Grinder pop the Lavalval Chain and Engineer, or like the lines just even with that mediocre starting hand go deep. And then unlike the other, I've never played the other Dragon Ruler formats for what it's worth, but because you only have one of each ruler, because you have Soul Charge, you have to think a lot. You are rewarded for very good resource management, and you are very much punished for bad resource management. And I referred to that earlier with Soul Charge when I mentioned that like if you're not cognizant of what you're leaving in graveyard as you summon rulers and you banish dragons, you'll get punished like 4 turns down the road when you finally find the Soul Charge and you can't make anything out of it because you banished the cards that would enable you to win because you didn't think far enough ahead or anticipate at least that far ahead. And again, if you like throw your rulers into a bunch of traps and get them all banished, you will also lose. So this is like I love this deck. Like I don't endorse floodgate gameplay. Skill drain is good because it keeps your rulers on field and allows you to use them for synchro plays and whatnot twice. But
no, I'm using it as a combo card. You don't get it. It's not a floodgate.
It is also a very good floodgate. So, but yeah, I'm glad I was able to represent this in Top Cut, even if I had to go down twice on the run back against the GOAT Swagger. But if I'm going to lose to anybody, it's him. So shout outs to him, shout outs to Jay, shout outs to everybody online who talks about rulers or has been trying out rulers. Shout out to all the people who want to try out rulers. Shout out to
the GOAT champ.
Shout out to David for filming 2 deck profiles in which I yapped for an incessant amount of time. Both David Lee and David Hernandez.
Coach David.
Coach David.
Hell yeah, Coach David. Again, shout out to the St. Louis guys, the Chicago guys. Shout out to RRC. Shout out to my wife most of all.
This guy loves his wife.
I mean, yeah, she's the most amazing
That
woman
rocks,
in the
man.
world.
That rocks.
But until the next yap session or the next
Yeah.
deep end.
I love you, brother. Get some sleep.
Thank you.